Hello guys, Mountain of Roses. Welcome to our second week's topic of our subject, the Physical Education and Health 2, or also known as Health Optimizing Physical Education 2, with the content sports. So last week's topic, we focused more about the nature of the different sports activities and the benefits. So you understand what are the types or categories on every sport, and also you learned what are those benefits in playing such those sports. So our topic for this week, we are going to focus more about what is or what are the safety practices in playing sports or exercises. We all know that playing sports and exercises will be a good benefit in our health. So before we encounter such a necessary event, we need to know what are the safety practices so that we can avoid such unnecessary happenings. So in order to understand and determine what are those safety precautions or safety practices before you perform such activity like sports or exercises, you need first to know what are the materials and equipments for the safety precautions or the safety performances. So we have a dress code. Dress code is one of the very common and one of the very important thing that you need to have when you perform exercises or playing sports. It is because when you wear proper sports attire, it helps you move freely. It also prevents you from minor stretch injuries or clothes injuries. And when you wear proper sports attire, there must be a rubber shoes. It's because you can move freely when you have when you wear a proper sports attire. And then it also requires to have a stretchable skirt. It's because when you are not wearing a stretchable skirt, there might be a possibility that you will encounter such injuries, for example, sprain and strain. Next, we have also loosened types of short. Okay, so any kinds of loosened short, as long as it is not fit and it is not a type of denim. Okay, so your short must be loosened and also stretchable. All right, so that when you're going to perform lunges or any kind of expanding move of in terms of leg portion, you need to wear stretchable skirt and a loosened short. Okay, so for girls, they need to tie their hair or fold their hair. It's because it will be a big problem when they perform sports or exercises and might encounter such injuries. So by applying these steps on how to wear proper sports attire, what will be the use of it? Of course, the proper use on wearing those sports attire will be first to avoid injuries, second, the unwanted happenings, and third, follow the proper etiquette in playing sports. It's because when you play sports, there is what we call a requirement before you enter the court. You are not allowed to play sports if you are not wearing the proper sport attire. For example, in basketball, when you're going to enter the court, you are not allowed to play without a uniform. So there must be a proper sports attire, and that will be what we call etiquette in playing sports. So in playing sports or having an exercise, our body is required to have a plenty of water. It's because every time we perform activities, there is what we call releasing of sweat, and that will be called as hydration. So in order to avoid dehydration and avoid hyperthermia, we need to drink plenty of water. All right? So water, it also helps you burn more calories while you are performing sports or exercises, and also it will help us to gain a weight loss. So by applying the dress code and the proper use of the materials, and also on how not to be dehydrated, we need first to conduct what we call activities. For example, the stretching. So before we conduct an activities or before we perform an exercises, we need first to perform such warm-up exercises or even stretching so that when we perform an activities, we can move our body freely and we cannot encounter such sprain or strain. So these are the three that might be benefit on performing stretching or warm up. So first, it reduces risk injuries. Yes, it's true. It's because when you perform activities and when you perform the warm up or stretching first, it will not leads to an injury because your muscle are already informed that you are going to perform an activities. For example, a jogging or any kind of activities. Second, it will also avoid sprain or strain. So of course, if your body are not properly stretched or perform warm up, of course, there's might be a possibility that you will encounter sprain or strain. And for the third one is the body conditioning, because before we start, we need to condition our body first so that when we perform activities or exercises, our movement are very or extremely exciting or alive or energetic. Okay? So by knowing yourself or educating yourself on what are those proper tips on how to perform sports and exercises in a safety procedure or in a safety practices, you need to determine the dress code on how the proper use, what will be the help of hydration, and also what will be the purposes of warm-up or stretching. Alright, so by following these 4 steps, your exercise performances or your sports activities will lead to safety precautions. Okay? We also have here what we call exercise safely. So all of us are required to determine first the guidelines or what are the guidelines for the exercise or for the safety exercise. So first thing and foremost, we need to check if those area that we are going to conduct exercises or sports are safe. Okay, so according here, use pre-exercise screening to identify whether you are not at higher risk of experiencing a health problem during physical activity. So in this specific guidelines, we need first to determine if the location that we're going to perform exercises or playing sports are safe or is not on a higher risk. Okay, that's the guidelines number 1. For the guidelines number 2, be aware that increasing the speed of any exercises can increase the risk of injury. So of course, you guys, when you're going to perform the moderate to vigorous activity, determine first if that speed will not lead you to an injury. Okay? It's better to be safe than never. Okay guys? The third one, when deciding if any exercises is safe, you need to consider the technique used as well as your individual conditions such as injury history and fitness level. So of course, in this situation or in this the third guidelines, you need to let's just say use your experience. For example, there might be happenings. Okay, you encounter such injuries. So of course, with the use of your experiences of first aiding, you can automatically engage on how to do or how to act or how to do the process of the first aid procedure. Okay? The fourth one, make sure you have at least 1 recovery day, preferably 2 every week. Remember that injuries needs rest. Okay? So of course guys, when you're going to perform exercises and you encounter such injuries, you need to relax yourself for at least 2 to 3 days, or at least 1 day, at least 1 recovery day, or preferably 2 days every week. Okay, so that your muscle tension or your joints or your bones will not get damaged, or the muscle tissues or let's just say the soft muscle tissues will easily recover or heal. Okay, so remember, in every time that we encounter injuries, we need, or our body is required to rest. So in order to apply all the learnings that I discussed earlier, we are going to practice or apply now what are those safety procedures before you perform exercises or sports. So in all sports and exercises, there must be what we call the warm-up exercise. Okay? So by applying these exercises, it will help you, or it will help you inform your body that you are going to engage an intense exercise on that particular moment. So it will also help you prevent injuries. Okay, so what are those warm-up exercises? So there are 5 steps. Okay, and these are, on the number 1, there are head rotation. It's either counterclockwise or clockwise. There is also a 4 neck stretch side to side. I know you are guys familiar with this. Number 2, there are 2 left and right front shoulder stretched, and other is back shoulders stretched. For number 3, there are 2 hips rotation. It's a counterclockwise, or you're going to rotate to the left, or you're going to rotate to the right. Okay, and there are 4 hip point side to side rotation. Okay, so if you're going to point the front, point your hip at the back, point your hip to the left side, and point your hip to the right side. For number 4, there are 2 types also, the kneecap rotation, left or right. There are also lunges stretch left or right. And for the last steps of warm up, the foot point stretch side to side, and also the 30 times jumping jack. Remember guys, by performing this warm-up exercises, it helps your body inform that you are going to encounter such activities or such intense activities. Okay? And this warm-up exercise also will help you avoid the sprain or strain or any injuries that you might encounter after you perform intense exercises. Okay, so remember that before you perform exercises or intense or playing sports, you need first to conduct warm-up exercises. And after your intense exercises, you need to perform also what we call the cool down exercises. And cool down exercises is one of the considering essential parts of the exercises. It's because it will help you not to what we call that encounter or feel what we call pamaol in Bisaya pa. Okay, so hopefully you understand what we are discussing today or this week, and I will see you next week for the next topic of our subject, and see you in virtuals. Okay, the activities I prepared to you is already in virtuals, and hopefully you can submit it by this week. So thank you everyone, and have a blessed week. Thank you. Stay strong, stay healthy, and be proud. This is your teacher, Michael Calzada Saneco, signing off.